Letrufah, eternally yours. Letter 295, with God's help, Wednesday, 11th of Tevis, 5600. That the hills bear greetings from an honored and learned friend, the illustrious and distinguished Rebbe Moshe. May his light shine. Your short letter arrived yesterday between Mincha and Marav, and you can imagine my great pain which cut me to the quick. My heart pounded, my insides shook. How very pained I am for you, for a number of reasons. The first reason is the pain and suffering itself that is surrounding our friend, Rebbe A.B. on every side. May God have compassion and quickly deliver him. More than this, I am pained by the attacks of our enemies who are vengefully gnashing their teeth, as is written. They hiss and gnash their teeth and say, "We have swallowed him up. God save us." For God will surely not abandon him into their hands. Most of all, though, was my great distress over the confusion and constricted thinking that this situation produced in you. Most of all, though, was my great distress over the confusion and constricted thinking that this situation produced in you, for lack of understanding is worse than all else. It is explained in the Rebbe's holy teachings that lack of understanding alone is the essential source of the pain that people have from all types of suffering and want. Is the essential source of all pain that people have from all types of suffering and want. For if the understanding were complete and a person knew that everything was being directed by God for his own good, he would certainly not be pained in the least. To the contrary, he would be filled with joy over all the suffering and hardship that he goes through, because everything the merciful one does, he does for the best. Without a doubt, God intends to bestow a wondrous favor, especially since we see with our own eyes that every person is full of suffering, as is mentioned in all the holy books, and as is said in the Medrash on the verse, "May God Almighty give you compassion." These are the words of the Medrash. Rav Alexandri said, "No person is without suffering. Happy is the man whose suffering comes to him from the Torah, as it is said, and from the Torah you will teach him." Look carefully at what is written there at the beginning of the Medrash. Happy is the man whom you chastise, God. And if a person is about to get angry, and from your Torah you will teach him. What is written in the Torah about Avraham? "I will bless you, and I will make your name great." As soon as he left, though, famine struck him, but he did not get angry or complain. You too, if suffering comes upon you, should not get angry or complain. Look it up there. Precious album 92:1. Look it up there. You already know that all barriers are really only in the mind. Someone whose mind holds firmly to the absolute truth will surely not be troubled by his thoughts as a result of the tribulations and hardships which pass over him. Rather, a Jew, when he experiences pain, God forbid, even physical pain or pain over his children, God save us, not to mention pain over mere money, would never even consider the possibility that this happened to him because he put on tefillin, would never even consider the possibility that this happened to him because he put on tefillin or gave money to charity or the like. To the contrary, a righteous Jew, even if he is a simple person, seriously considers that all his pain and suffering, God forbid, is because of some shortcoming in his service of God. Either he did not put on his tefillin with the appropriate concentration and frequently took his mind off the fact that he was wearing them, or he did not give charity with a whole heart as he should have, or in some other way he did not do what he was supposed to do. Now, understand well how this applies to the matter at hand. According to the mistaken opinion of those who oppose a holy, awesome, according to the mistaken opinion of those who oppose a holy, awesome, and exalted light such as our Master, Teacher, and Rebbe of holy, sainted memory, our Rebbe, who revealed the original Torah teachings in the world, the likes of which have never been heard, and which give life to every soul, great and small alike. Even if tremendous sums of money were being paid out for traveling to Uman, one should still not go. According to the mistaken opinion of those who oppose the holy, etc., great and small alike, even if tremendous sums of money were being paid to the person, even if tremendous sums of money were being paid out for traveling to Uman, one should still not go. Even if tremendous sums of money were being paid out for traveling to Uman, one should still not go. And it goes without saying that they would be unwilling to suffer and to break down barriers in order to do so. But through His kindness, God has opened our eyes and allowed us to know a little of the truth and great holiness of the Rebbe. Therefore, we know the importance of one movement made just to draw close to us. Therefore, we know the importance of one movement made just to draw close to us. Not to mention to study the Rebbe's holy books and to practice one true word of his teachings. For instance, forcing oneself to pray according to his holy advice, or forcing oneself to pray according to his holy advice, or saying psalms with concentration, kavanah, and even more so in order to travel to his holy grave, and even more so in order to travel to his holy graveside, about which he made a great promise that he would do us an eternal favor. It does not take much to understand that it is more than worth suffering everything. It does not take much to understand that it is more than worth suffering everything and breaking down all the barriers in the world for one iota of all this. And at the very least, you should not accept the error and folly. You should not accept the error and folly of the misnagdim and opponents who say that this trouble has come upon him, God forbid, because he did his soul such an eternal favor by going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. On the contrary, he must look for the real truth and turn this situation round to the good. That all his troubles are because he is remiss drawing close. That all his troubles and because all these troubles are because he is remiss, drawing close to the truth. What is more, we see that the misnagdim and the opponents also experience the bitter cup of pain and suffering beyond all measure. May God have compassion on all of Israel, in these times especially, when many troubles surround us on every side, as a group and as individuals. There is no moment without its blemish. As is discussed at length in the Shlah. You can look it up. Our life and our continued existence, every hour of every day, is only by amazing and awesome miracles. As the rabbis of blessed memory said, these are his mighty acts, these are his marvels. All our vitality is only through the points of the true tzaddik, as in, were it not for the salt, the world would be unable to endure the bitterness. As is written in the lesson, you commanded justice. Look at Rebbe 123, part 3. I trust in the Rebbe's great power that God will certainly not abandon Rebbe A.B. May he live, just as he did not abandon me or any of us amidst all the hardship that came upon us, and especially upon me. Were I to describe it, no one would believe it. No one would believe it possible to endure everything that I have suffered. But all the same, when I really think about it, I see the truth that all my compatriots, that all my compatriots who defiantly refused to draw near and to taste the holy light of the Rebbe, all passed their lives in much greater pain and bitterness than I did. Most of them are dead, and the ones who are still alive are full of various sorts of suffering. God save us. And they have nothing from which to draw encouragement. The main thing, though, is to pass the test of the moment by not listening to the evil words of the opponents of truth. And by not adopting, God forbid, any false reasoning which turns the truth on its head. He must look at all times only toward the absolute truth and fulfill. I consider my ways and I turn my feet to your testimonies. There is a great deal on my heart, thank God, to say on this subject. I'm overflowing with true, pure, and resplendent words. With God's help, but thousands of pages would not be enough to explain them, and you already know something of them anyway from the Rebbe's holy books and from the teachings I have innovated on them through God's wondrous kindness. Now, my dear friend, fortify yourself, be strong, and strengthen our friend Rebbe A.B. Read this letter carefully, and from these words you will infer a great many things. I trust in God's kindness that He will surely not abandon him. He has not abandoned him, and He will not abandon him. Just He has not abandoned him, and He will not abandon him. Just fortify yourself determinedly. Grab and eat the bread of Torah every day amidst all the distractions and tribulations that you go through. It is your life forever. They you are living in right now, you will never have again. More than anything else, I was terribly, terribly pained by what you wrote, that Rebbe A.B. may his light shine, has been neglecting his studies. Woe over this, the most tragic thing of all. How very much do I talk and scream about this, that there is nowhere to flee from all the suffering and hardship except to God, to the Torah, to prayer, supplication, and petition. How have you regressed, my soul's friend? Our rabbis of blessed memory already warned us, do not say, when I have time I will study. Abandon this path, my dear friend. I trust that God will certainly set right for you all your stress and hardship. He will open things up for you, and you will sell your merchandise favorably with God's help. Everything will turn out for the best. But the days that you lost without learning Torah, when you could have grabbed it right in the middle of all your suffering. This is a loss that can never be recovered. More important, what will you do in the days to come? For even if you pass your days in prosperity, it is impossible for a person to avoid going through a great deal of problems, distress, and hardship. As the rabbi's blessed memory said, and as is expressed in many verses, man was born to suffer, and someone who neglects Torah study and prayer because of this completely wastes his life. God forbid, just the opposite should happen. Everything that happens to a person is intended to call him, draw him closer to the Torah. It is God's greatest pleasure when people study Torah amidst hardship and problems. This is the main advantage of humans over the angels, that they draw themselves closer to God in the Torah, in the face of suffering, barriers, and the ever-present attacks of the other side, which spread themselves out every time, literally like rivers and abysses. As it is written, abyss calls to abyss. Listen very carefully. Hear my words, which I am saying in all sincerity. You must practice at all times what is said in the verses. God is my strength, my fortress, and my God is my strength. My God is my strength, my fortress, and my refuge. And you were a refuge on the day of my suffering. Grab all the Torah and prayer that you can every day. Fulfill the injunctions, set sessions for Torah study, the way that our master teacher and rebbe, blessed memory, explained it, by stealing sessions for Torah. Stealing sessions for Torah amidst all the world's distractions. The Hebrew word kra means both set and steal. See the Quran 1:284. There is no day on which a person cannot grab a little or a lot of good, for there is no day that does not contain some good. Trust God, He will not abandon you, and He will turn everything into good. See to it that you come here quickly. The words of your true friend, I did not address Rebbe AB directly because he did not write his letter to me. He should understand, though, that all these words were meant for him in particular, for all of you and for all of us as well. Everyone needs to know and to review this every day. More than this, my son, be sure to fulfill the words of the Rebbe of blessed memory. Extend greetings to all our comrades with a great love, and especially to my dear friend Rabbi Yisrael, may his light shine, and his whole family. The words of the one waiting for salvation, praying for you, and waiting to see you joyful. The words of the one waiting for salvation, praying for you, and waiting to see you joyful. Lesson of Breslov, lesson 296. Thanks to God, Thursday, bezH 5600. My dear beloved son, I received your letter just now. I would like to write you a long letter, but my mind is not clear. I am forced to tell you about the pain that my son, David Tzvi, may he live, took ill again yesterday, Wednesday before daylight, when he cried out bitterly over his pain. He has been sick in bed from yesterday until now, in a condition worse than he has ever experienced. Yesterday, during the day, he was in very severe pain. It eased a little for a few hours last night, as it did today. He is still in bed though, and the situation is pitiful beyond anything you can imagine. As for me, my eyes are only to God, and my hands are stretched forth for His abundant compassion and kindness. May God favor him from His treasury of unearned gifts through the merit and power of the great eshel. Through the merits and power of the great eshel, large tree upon whom we lean, and may He quickly send him from heaven a complete recovery, body and soul. Salvation is in God's hands. In spite of everything, it is necessary to fortify oneself and to believe that everything is for the good. And thank God, I am strong in this. God's compassion is very great, and I am requesting and entreating, may God Almighty give you compassion. That is compassion in the plainest sense. And may He quickly, that is compassion in the plainest sense, and may He quickly enjoy a full recovery. See the Quran 262. You should instruct all our comrades to pray and to offer supplications to God. A great deal about Him, and to arouse great compassion for Him, particularly since my pain affects them all. May God have pity. The carrier of this letter is pressured, and I cannot write very much. Nonetheless, my son, do not let the pain affect you too much. God forbid, just ask for mercy. We will trust in God, for without a doubt He will quickly cure him, and He will not unleash all His anger. God forbid. For God's kindnesses never end, and His compassion never ceases. God willing, I will inform you of His salvation with God's help. Lesson of Breslov. Letter 297, thanks to God, Sunday, Shmois, 5600. Greetings to my dear beloved son, the learned of Yitzchak, may he live. You should know, my son, that, praise God, He has helped us, and my son, David Tzvi, may he live, recovered his health late Thursday night, a few hours after midnight. You can understand for yourself the great pain and unbearable waiting that he went through from Wednesday morning before dawn until Thursday night. For a period all told of a little less than 48 hours, he was lying on the sickbed screaming bitterly. The pain eased for a little for a short while, but subsequently he started screaming again. Thursday, when I wrote you my letter, he had some relief during the day, though he was still in pain. Afterwards, at the time of the afternoon and evening prayers, he began screaming bitterly again, as his pain had returned worse than it had been originally. He continued like this, as I said, until after midnight, and I and the whole family stood there dumbfounded and frightened. I cannot describe to you what I went through with this. I did not want to take any action at all, though, only to rely on God. I prayed to God many times, and even though I saw that I had not yet had an effect, because he had been screaming in pain again, God save us, I nonetheless summoned my strength and I prayed. I did this many times, and God in His mercy bestowed His kindness, and he immediately fell asleep for a few hours. All this time he had only had a very small amount of sleep, whenever he could doze off a little, and he said he thought he would lose his mind, God forbid. What can I tell you, my dear son? Every person, through everything that he goes through, must just fortify himself in prayer and supplication and not rely on any other methods, especially in medical matters. If I wanted to tell you everything, there would be neither enough time nor paper. Now, anyway, I've informed you of our salvation and the kindness and miracles of God. So may God continue in His kindness, so that he will no longer have any illness, pain, or discomfort at all. May he attain rectification in all things, spiritual and physical, and may he truly have peace in his home. Salvation is in God's hands. My livelihood too has been extremely tight, and I had to borrow money for Shabbos. God has helped me as well and favored me a little with His kindness. Thank God, Rebbe Yitzchak, the son of Rebbe Yisrael from Lipovik, whose visit I had been anticipating for several reasons, came on Friday and brought me money with God's help. I also needed him to come for some other reasons. I will tell you about this, God willing, and you will understand a few of God's miracles. His brother of Nachman also came with him, and thank God we were happy on Shabbos. I myself danced a little through God's miraculous, unfathomable kindness. How great are God's deeds! I am still looking to God at all times for His salvation, for we still need great compassion and miraculous salvation, both as a group and each one of us individually. Whom can we lean on besides our Father in heaven, through the merits and power of the Rebbe of sainted memory? God's kindness is never ending, and His compassion never ceases. I spoke on Shabbos about the great exaltedness of charity, especially basing what I said on the lesson to elicit perfect providence. Around 1:13. The light of day is approaching, so I cannot go on. May God command His kindness by day. Favor us, God, we hope in you. Be their strength every morning. Sate us in the morning with your kindness. The words of your Father, who encourages himself only with this, the great kindnesses that are born anew every day, as in they are new every morning. Great is your faith. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. It is all through the great power of the Rebbe, who revitalizes himself every moment of every day until he merited to tell the story of the holy elder. Nachman Stories, number 13, lesson as above. Greetings to all our comrades with the great bold love. In particular to my dear distinguished friend of Nachman, may his light shine, grandson of the Rebbe of blessed memory. Fortify yourself and be strong. My brother and dear son, be sure to express yourself before God every day. Desire and yearn to come to Him until God in His compassion helps you. Lesson is above. Letter 298. Thanks to God, Saturday night, Ve'ero 5600. Greetings to my dear son of Yitzchak, may he live, along with all his family, may they live. I received your letter just now, and I was pleased to hear that you did as I asked and sent the letter to Lvov. May God finish this well for us. Thank God this Shabbos took past peacefully and a little joyfully. I spoke true words of Torah on the lesson. Look at on 2:2, the days of Hanukkah are days of Thanksgiving, and on 195 in suffering you gave me relief. But what can I say, my dear son? I am forced to tell you about my distress that my son David Tzvi may live was seized again by his pain after Shabbos, and the bitterness of his screaming was hard to bear. The pain has eased up a little now, but he has still not risen from his bed. May God soon heal him and restore his strength. I am trusting in no stratagems at all, just in God alone. My eyes are looking to you alone until you bestow your favor. What comforts me in my destitution is that I know that I rely on nothing but God. I urge you as well as Reb Nachman of David, as Reb Nachman of David, and all our comrades to pray to God from very much. his state as well as mine is pitiful in the extreme, and it affects all of you. May God hear your prayers and mine through the Rebbe's great power. The Rebbe's great power and through the merits of the little bit of charity. Perhaps he will take pity, perhaps he will have mercy. Perhaps he will have pity, perhaps he will have mercy. Salvation is in God's hands. I have a great deal to say because all the same, God's kindnesses are never ending, and everything will undoubtedly turn out to have been for the best. But I cannot go on now. May the Master of Compassion have compassion on him. May he heal him and rescue him, and immediately show him salvation. And may he no longer come to have any illness at all. I hope to God that I will soon inform you of his salvation. The words of one waiting for salvation. Nosli. Letter 299, with God's help someday, boy, before dawn, 5600, my dear beloved son of Yitzchak, may you live. Greetings to you, your wife and your children. May you have peace over all, and in every particular body, soul, may you have peace over all, and in every particular body, soul, and money. Amen, may it be his will. I know, I would like to encourage you with my letter, but I really do not know what's right. Thank God I have already written to you and spoken to you a great deal, but it is nonetheless necessary to innovate new words of Torah every day, so that they really are new each day. Therefore, fortify yourself determinedly. Remember well what I have already said. Let the words be literally like new for you every day. They really are new every day too, because every day many miraculous and awesome changes are occurring, and they are all for our eternal good. How great are your deeds, God! Your thoughts are very deep. Each day God receives new delight from every single Jew, and from each and every part of every single Jew. And it is a consequence of this that he renews the creation every day. For just as the original overall reason for the entire creation was the overall delight that God would receive from the Jewish people as a whole, by the same token now, every single day, everything that is taking place in the world, with the many amazing variations that are occurring every day, all corresponds to the delight that he receives from the Jewish people as a whole, and from each Jew individually, etc. On that particular day, see Luke 1:17. You should therefore know and believe that without a doubt God also receives delight from you as an individual each and every day, and that this delight has a share in perpetuating the world's existence. Through this you will receive an abundance of favor, blessing, life, peace, and good each and every day, and you will fulfill what our rabbi said on the verse, blessed is God every day. Every day give him according to its blessings. For a person must be cognizant of all the favors and miracles that God does with him each and every day. And if sometimes a person does not merit to perceive them due to his physical nature, he must nonetheless believe in this fully, as we say 3 times every day, for your miracles that are with us every day, and for your wonders and favors, that are with us every moment. If it were not for the miracles and wonders, both revealed and hidden, that God does with us every moment of every day, then even the few good points that he allows us to attain each day to give us life would not suffice to sustain us. What can I tell you, my dear son? There is a very great deal to say about all this, but I have already said a great deal, and you ought to be able to understand from this many things about how to summon your strength and to start anew every day. It is all through the power of the holy elder of elders who merited to constantly start living anew. How great are God's deeds, that in these troubled times he allowed us to draw near, to know about, and to nurse from a holy light such as this. Ashreinu, how fortunate are we, how good is our portion. Just strengthen yourself and make a determined effort to banish from your mind all your many unnecessary ruminations, what they call ibertrachten, mental rehashing, what they call ibertrachten, mental rehashing, which you are so accustomed, what they call ibertrachten, mental rehashing, which you are so accustomed to entertaining. May God protect you from them from now on. As soon as you experience some kind of trouble, you become terribly upset, God forbid. Do not let this happen, God forbid. If most people's anger were to be realized, particularly that of small-minded men and women, God forbid, the world could not continue. Particularly that of small-minded men and women, God forbid, the world could not continue to exist. But God is full of mercy. He oversees everything with his wonders, and sweetens and nullifies all kinds of judgments and anger through his wonders. This is what is written: for men's anger is your thanksgiving. For men's anger is your thanksgiving, and its remnant your gird and restrain. As Rashi explains there, but people is and its remnants your gird and restrain. As Rashi explains there, but people are vain and are and our vanity, and you need not give the slightest heed to such nonsense and become upset about it. Just believe that everything will turn into good. Sometimes, as a result of this, you can remember to have his bezH. You have undoubtedly already heard about the well-known tzaddik of sainted memory who used to remember about his bezH whenever his wife got angry. Who used to remember about his bezH whenever his wife got angry. I am sure you heard the story. In any case, this is already known to be a very common occurrence, and it is all for the best. I do not have time to write anymore, as the morning light has arrived. May the way of the tzaddikim as the light of the morning. May the way of the tzaddikim as the light of the morning come and shine upon you and upon all our comrades, that you may merit always to understand my words and to receive hints from them and advice about how to begin anew every day and not to think from one day to the next or even from 1 hour to the next. For God is good and His loving kindness is forever. You will hear from the deliverer of this letter a little of what I said on Shabbos about how the revelation of simple unity amidst multiplicity is extremely dear to God. A little of what I said on Shabbos about how the revelation of simple unity amidst multiplicity is extremely dear to God. Part 2, lesson 2:6. May God strengthen our hearts to adhere to the Rebbe's holy, original Torah teachings and to learn, teach, keep, observe, and truly fulfill them all the days of our lives. The words of your Father, waiting for salvation and praying to God, Nasan of Breslov. Greetings to all our comrades with a great love, in particular to my dear friend of Nachman, may his light shine. All these words were meant for all of you. Fortify your hearts and be strong. All you who hope in God, letter 300. With God's help before dawn, Monday, Mishalach, 5600 Breslov, my dear beloved son, I received your letter on Friday. While I have already heard your cry many times now, and I have already answered you a great deal both in person and in writing, I still feel for you, and I lift my eyes to heaven in the hope that I can encourage you with words of truth. Therefore, I decided now to put pen to paper and a letter to you, even though I have yet to receive a letter from you this week. In addition, I have no idea what to write to you, but there is no study hall without a new idea, particularly when it comes to the words of our master, teacher, and of our master, teacher, and rather of holy sainted memory, which are deeper than the sea and constantly fresh and new. To get to the point, judging from your words and from your bitter lament, it appears that you have already forgotten, God forbid, the holy lesson and teaching of a zamro. I will sing to God with what I have left, or else it has become so hackneyed. It has become so hackneyed for you that you do not use it to encourage and inspire yourself the way you should. Thus, after reading your letter, I will search for you and remind you about the love, the truth, and holiness of this lesson. About the lovely truth and holiness of this lesson, along with a few other lessons and holy conversations which are related to it. The main thing is to apply them straightforwardly and anew every day. On the contrary, when a person looks at himself and reckons that the deep waters are flooding him on every side, and that almost, God forbid, this is precisely the time that a person has to remind himself of all the words of this lesson. Nonetheless, he must say, there's still good points in me from a number of mitzvahs and good deeds that I have done. This is precisely the time that he must turn all the grief and sighing into happiness and joy. On the contrary, the more that I think I am far away, and even if it is really true, the happier I should be. For all the same, I still merit to put on tefillin every day, to receive Shabbos in the holidays, to draw near to and nurse from a holy, unique light such as the Rebbe, and to praise, thank, and exalt, and to praise, thank, and exalt God many times every day that He has helped us to hold our ground. He has also separated us from those who err in a number of ways, in the midst of an uproar, a tempest, especially like what we have experienced in the past few years. May God save us and protect us from now on. Well, you already know this, and more than this, I have been saying for a long time that the main thing is not to get old and stagnant, God forbid, and not to fall to the old age of the other side. Our rabbis of blessed memory have already warned us many times. Do not view the words of the Torah as something old, but rather as new. And this is particularly true for awesome original teachings, and this is particularly true for awesome original teachings such as these, which are new at every moment for a person who truly and sincerely looks at them. What more can I say to you? Fortify yourself, the son, and be strong. Hope to God, and He will save you. In the final analysis, God will finish with us, all for the good through His true tzaddikim. You too are certainly included in this through His wondrous. You too are certainly included in this through His wondrous kindness. Do what it says in the verse. Hope to God. Fortify your hearts and be strong. Hope to God. Fortify your heart and be strong. Hope to God. In accordance with Rashi's explanation that if your prayer has not been accepted, fortify yourself and be strong and hope to God again. For He will not neglect you forever. For He will not neglect you forever. Time for the morning prayers has arrived and it is impossible to continue. May God command His loving kindness by day and may He bring joy to your heart through all our holy advice. Salvation is in God's hands. That you will be here this coming Shabbos. May God help us occupy ourselves with His wonders and to discuss them. May God help us occupy ourselves with His wonders and to discuss them so that we may all merit starting now to return to Him in truth. So that we may all merit starting now to return to Him in truth and joy and the gladness over His abundant blessings. Let us be happy and rejoice in His salvation, us and the rest of greetings to all our comrades with a great love. I do not yet know with whom I will send this letter, but out of my love for you, I grabbed some time to prepare it in order to encourage and inspire you. You should also remember what I heard from the Rebbe's holy mouth, and these words, God is great, and we know absolutely nothing. And these words, God is great, and we know absolutely nothing. Things are taking place in the world, and we know nothing about them at all. The main thing is not to despair of crying out, praying, and supplicating, and everything will turn into good. Shabbos Shira is fast approaching, and God allows us to feel anew. Moshe and the children of Israel sang a song to you in great joy, and they all said, listen, letter 301. With thanks to God, Sunday night, Erev Rosh Chodesh Adar 5600 umaaiiinnn. Warm greetings to my dear beloved son, the learned Rebbe Yitzchak. May he live. And to all his family, greetings and abundant salvation. I received the letter today, and I was really pleased, particularly with the news about the response that arrived from Lvov. Thank God who has helped us thus far. So may He continue to give us help, that we may merit to accomplish the desires of heaven in accordance with His will and the will of those who fear Him. God will finish for us. I have no time to write much at the moment. I am writing in the dark of nights, and tomorrow is Erev Rosh Chodesh. I am preoccupied with longing, yearning, and expectation. With longing, yearning, and expectation. Perhaps I will merit to pour my heart out like water before God, so that I will attain what I seek for myself and for all those who follow me, that we may merit starting now to truly come close to God. Then everything will be rectified automatically. Salvation is in God's hands, for His loving kindness never ends. Out of my great love for you, I force myself to write you these few lines. There will be other opportunities, God willing, to go on with words of truth. For the time being, encourage and inspire yourself with what you have already heard. Encourage and inspire yourself with what you have already heard. Study them over and over. There is nothing better. The words of your Father praying for you, Nas and Restel. Greetings to all our comrades with a great love. I do not need to tell you to be quick, my son. The next time a letter comes to you from Lvov and about sending it on to me without delay, I am waiting for this, and I need to know the answer from there in order to know how to proceed here. God's plan is what will stand. Be sure also to send a letter to Lvov informing him, Reb Chaim Kohen, that you received his letter and that we were very pleased. And also ask him to do as he said and answer me again explaining what he thinks in full detail. Most likely you have already gone ahead and done this on your own. May God soon complete this matter for the good. Publisher's note: Reb Chaim Kohen was a relative of Reb Nosson who lived in Lvov, Lemberg. In 1834 he visited Reb Nosson and the Blessed, and they began corresponding about the printing of Nachman's writings in Lvov. Negotiations were abruptly suspended when the years of oppression broke out. During this year, Reb Nosson renewed his efforts to publish the Breslov writings. After Shavuos of this year, Reb Nosson traveled to Lvov to begin in publication. See Volume 1, Letter 136. Letter 302 with God's help, Wednesday, Vayakhel, 5600 Shivin. Greetings to my dear beloved son, the learned Rebbe Yitzchak. May he live. You should know that I arrived here in Shirin yesterday. I spent last Shabbos in Medvedivke, and thank God all is well. I have no news to tell you on the level of the mundane, but when it comes to words of Torah, there is certainly always news. For its measure is longer than the world. I have seen the boundary of everything, but your commandment is very broad indeed. And even if a person does not merit to actually innovate new Torah ideas, it is necessary to constantly believe in this. I have talked many times about how it is forbidden to be old, God forbid. God is constantly doing awesome, wondrous new things, and it is possible to see a few of them from a distance, but mostly it is necessary to believe with perfect faith in His awesome wonders, which are renewed every day and every moment, as in, they are new every morning. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Everything is for our ultimate good. It is impossible to go on, because the post is leaving soon. This will suffice for now. Words of your Father, praying for you, Nelson of Breslov. Letter 303. With God's help, Wednesday, Vayikra, 5600 Kamenshuk. Warm greetings to my dear beloved son, the learned Rebbe Yitzchak. May he live, along with all his lovely children. May they live. I received your letter on Sunday of this week. I had very great pleasure from every single word of affection you expressed. I rejoiced over your words as one who finds a great treasure. May you always feel this way. May you continue to add on anew, strong, and good desires and yearnings every day, so that you turn everything into joy and good. Until you, your children, your whole family, and all those who are with you merit to fear God and to serve Him in truth, purity, happiness, and great joy all your days forever. Thank God we have more than enough to be happy about through His great kindness, as we have talked about a great deal. You reminded me, my dear son, with the words of your letter about what I said regarding the mitzvah of remembering the exodus from Egypt every day. In every generation, a person is obligated to see himself as if he too went out from Egypt. I am obligated as well to express great gratitude and thanksgiving to His great name, that He has helped me thus far in His great compassion, and that there are men of truth to be found, among them my sons and offspring, who hear a few of the true, perfect, and extremely deep words which flow from the consummately exalted and awesome spring. Ashreinu, how fortunate I am, how good is my portion. I still inspire myself with this, as I talked about last Shabbos Shira, and there is more than that in my heart, for I am just a poor man. Old age has crept upon me, and I am weak and failing. I have many enemies. May God save me from them, in addition to the rest of my particularly innumerable troubles. Even a few that you know about are endless, not to mention those that are concealed from you. But in spite of them all, what comforts me is in my destitution is the enormously great kindness that God has bestowed upon me. That God has in my destitution, what comforts me is in my destitution is the enormously great kindness that God has bestowed upon me. Poor man that I am, by inspiring me today with true eternal life such as this, with such teaching, with a revelation and glimmer of godliness, which it is simply impossible to describe. What can I say? His kindness to me has been great, and the truth of God stands forever. Recently, here in Kremenchuk, God illuminated for me something I learned in the En Yaakov in Tractate of bezH, chapter 1. I have definitely learned this chapter numerous times before. Even on the day that I learned it, I did not pay it sufficient attention to understand hints from it that relate to serving God. Subsequently, though, the eyes of my heart were opened, and now this piece is inspiring me tremendously. I have also inspired a number of other souls with it already. The section I'm talking about is what our rabbi's blessed memory said on the verse: does not one in a ruin stretch out his hand and cry for help in his disaster? Does not one in a ruin stretch out his hand and cry for help in his disaster? Even if Israel only performs a commandment before me, like the peck of a chicken picking through the garbage, I add it up to a large sum. The Hebrew word for peck, pid, can also mean disaster. Look, my son, and all you who listen to what I say and understand how this statement explains, expresses, and alludes to everything I am constantly saying about fortifying myself through the awesome teaching on the verses Zamra. I will sing to God with what I have left. This piece develops even further that the idea of Israel if Israel only performs commandments like a chicken picking through the garbage, God still adds them up to a large sum. I encourage myself tremendously with this, because the good we have right now is exactly like a chicken picking through the garbage, where it finds perhaps half a barley corn or wheat kernel or the like. It continues looking all day long, and every once in a while it finds in the garbage some little crumb of bread with which to sustain itself. God, in His enormous compassion, is asking Israel, His beloved people, at the very least to sustain themselves with this, because He adds them up to a great sum. They must not heap suffering and troubles which come upon each person, body and soul. All suffering comes with great compassion and kindness for their internal benefit, as they said earlier. But as for Israel, I exact the punishment from them little by little, the way chickens peck through the garbage. Another interpretation is, even if Israel only performs a commandment before me, like the peck of the chicken, etc. And another interpretation is, as their reward for crying before me, I save them. The Hebrew word for cry is shavo, which can also mean salvation. This is what Rebbe said. What is the meaning of the verse? I was going to redeem them, but they spoke lies about me. Look carefully at everything written there, and you will see and understand wonders and amazing, unlimited sources of encouragement, but were it not for the kindness that God bestowed upon us, whereby we merited to hear what we did about this from a flowing spring, the source of wisdom, of blessed memory, we certainly would never have understood all this from the words of the sages of blessed memory. Now, though, that God has enlightened us amidst darkness such as this, for He reveals profundities out of the darkness, even I, through His great kindness, merit to find in the words of our sages of blessed memory, how they, with their divine inspiration, concurred with the Rebbe's true and extremely profound words. For the truth is one. How great are your deeds, God! Your thoughts are very deep, that you give us life today, and generations such as these. You should understand, my sons, brothers, and friends, that the aforementioned statements from sages of blessed memory are all closely bound together and interconnected in the following way. They caution us first not to be disconcerted by the suffering and tribulations that come upon every person, or by financial hardship, because if a person looks at this, he will see that all the suffering comes with kindness. For in suffering you gave me relief, as it's explained in the Rebbe's teachings. All the troubles are only like a chicken picking in the garbage, and everything is a great eternal favor. For Israel gets its punishment little by little, in order that they may be worthy of the next world, as is explained afterward. You may wish to say that, while this certainly is true, how will I be worthy of the next world? For I know deep down how much I have done wrong, how few mitzvahs I have fulfilled, and how little Torah I have studied. In response to this, though, they immediately present another interpretation. Even if Israel only performs a commandment before me, like the packing of a chicken in the garbage, I add it up to a large sum. You may want to respond to this that, even though the suffering is indeed with kindness, considering our many sins, and you have not treated us as our sins would have dictated, nonetheless, I do not have the strength to bear them, because I am weak and frail. In response to this, they immediately present another interpretation. As their reward for crying before me, I save them. In other words, you now have a great piece of advice and a marvelous refuge to escape the suffering, i.e. by crying out and pleading for God. Then He will certainly save you, as quoted above. There is a great deal to say about this, but it is impossible in this context, and the time for the afternoon prayers is approaching. In the meantime, this will suffice for those who truly desire to start anew through this, and to begin completely new, applying what I have said about it. Every person, according to what he is, can find in these words awesome ways of fortifying himself absolutely without limits. And this is the most crucial thing of all. Just fortify yourself determinedly. God is with us. He is full of compassion, and His loving kindness never ceases. May God allow us to be happy in the joy of the approaching days of Purim, and may our Purim be a preparation for Pesach. All this is alluded to in what I said at the beginning about the Exodus from Egypt, and afterwards about the chicken picking in the garbage, and how this too is precious to God. This is the whole idea of Purim, which is the downfall of Haman and Amalek, who rises up in every generation, every moment of every day against every single person and attempts, God forbid, to knock him down and deeply discourage him. This is what is written in the verse about Amalek, who struck at you on the road and came up behind all the weak ones, trailing after you. God Himself does battle through His truth-seeking in every generation, and at every time, and He turns everything around for the good. We see this in this destitute generation, to the fact that the Rebbe has illumined our eyes with new Torah teachings such as these, which can allow even us to find and to understand to find and to understand the enormity of God's absolutely limitless kindness, and to know that He still has affection for us. It is impossible to go on anymore right now. May God allow us to see each other face to face amidst joy. Then we will speak further words of peace and truth with whatever He illumines our eyes and rejoices our hearts. With whatever He illumines our eyes and rejoices our hearts, let us be happy and rejoice in His salvation. The words of your father, your teacher, and your true friend forever, Nachman of Breslov, extend loving greetings to all our comrades from the greatest to the least, for whom I have a strong and infinite love. These words were meant for all of them. A wise person will hear them and increase his understanding. You understand on your own that you should copy this letter and send it with a trustworthy person to our comrades in Breslov. Just be careful that it does not reach the scoffers, God forbid, because there is no teaching in the world, even if it is true, profound, extremely exalted and universally inspiring, that they cannot turn into a mockery. This is all to allow for the power of free choice, but the truth is its own witness, and words of truth stand forever. You, God, are forever on high. Greetings to my daughter, may she live, the modest Chana Tziril, along with her husband, my son-in-law, and distinguished friend, Reb Baruch, may he live, and to all their children, Mazel Tov to you. I did not know until this week, through the letter from my son, Rabbi Yitzchak, may he live. May God let this bring good Mazel to us all. May you merit to observe the path of God and to be awakened to draw close to Him from every place and in everything that comes upon a person at all times. This particularly applies with a Jewish boy and girl. Applies when a Jewish boy or girl is born, and as it were, the image and likeness of God is magnified, as is said on the verse, I will be sated with your likeness when I awake. It is necessary to thank God a great deal for this, and through it to make a new start at drawing close to God. It would be fitting to go on about this, but the day is coming to an end, and it is time for the afternoon prayers. May God have compassion on you and on me, and may you merit to bring your children up to chuppah, marriage, and good deeds. May they flourish to a ripe old age, and may they be full of freshness and vigor. Amen. May it be His will. Greetings to my dear distinguished son, Reb David Tzvi, may he live. Your brother Rabbi Yitzchak, may he live. Uplifted me with his letter in which he wrote that you are walking around with a smile, thank God. May God fortify, in which he wrote that you are walking around with a smile, thank God. May God fortify your heart and place joy in your soul. If your beginning has been painful, and you have indeed endured enormous suffering, problems, and a great many troubling thoughts, your end will be extremely exalted with God's great kindness and help. Just really strengthen yourself determinedly to always be happy and trust in God's kindness that everything will turn into good. Omaaiinnn, may it be His will, nachman the same. Warm greetings to my dear, learned and illustrious son of bezH. May his light shine also along with all his precious children. May they live, and in particular to his son, Nachman, may he live. I do not have time to address you directly, my dear son, but most likely a copy of my letter to Tolchin will get to you, and it was meant for you too, and for all of you. Fortify your hearts and be strong, all you who hope in God. I am awaiting expectantly for your salvation at all time, because I know your pain. Salvation is in God's hands, and we have no one to lean on but our Father in heaven. The words of your father praying for you, Nachman the same. Greetings to my dear learned son of Shmelka, may his light shine. To my son Nachman, may he live. And to my son Yosef Yonah, may he live. For God's sake, desire to study Torah and concentrate when you pray. Be careful reading the Shema and concentrate when you say the grace after meals. Then you will have it good. With God's help in this world and the next. You can already understand, my dear children, that there is no purpose to anything except prayer, Torah study, and good deeds. May God fortify your hearts in this. Amen. May it be His will, nachman the same. Greetings to all our comrades, my companions and true friends, to every single one of you according to His stature. May God give you ascendancy and mazel for wealth, honor, livelihood, and life, and most important, may He strengthen your hearts for sincere devotion and Torah study. This is the whole man. You will receive a copy of my letter from Tolchin. Pay close attention to my words spoken in truth. Be sure to watch over my house and make sure they will be able to prepare all that is required for the approaching Pesach and that I will not have to go into debt. God forbid. Salvation is in God's hands. It is impossible to go on any longer because the page is short and it is time for the post to leave. There is no further need to urge people who are motivated on their own. Thus in the same letter 304. With God's help, Tuesday, Tazria Uman, 5600. Warm greetings to my dear beloved son, the distinguished Rebbe Yitzchak. May he live. I arrived here safely in Uman early last evening. Thank God. It would be impossible to describe all the hardship that I had on my journey as a result of the bad road conditions. I will tell you a little bit about it when I arrive home safely, God willing. I was forced to spend last Shabbos Pasha's Torah in Kaneblad, which I had no intention of doing. I paid for Shabbos accommodations that I had to hear the Torah reading of Pasha's Torah in the synagogue, because I was afraid to go to the study hall. This is what everyone advised me to do as well. And remember very, very well every single day what is being done with us in this world. For we have come to this world at this time in the 6th century of the 6th millennium, and soon, God willing, the 7th century will begin. In this past century, there was a most unique individual, and we are called in his name, blessed of memory, we who are so terribly wretched and scorned among the holy people of Israel themselves. Remember this and take heart, strengthen yourselves, and be brave. It is so insignificant. It is no insignificant matter. As a result of all this, we are obligated to thank and to praise God's great name that He has saved us from error and confusion such as this. It is impossible to say much about this in this context, though. Thank God we nonetheless had a nice Shabbos, and we passed it in peace and quiet, thank God. On Sunday I was delayed near Tolman because of the river. God helped us though, and the water level fell, and thank God I crossed the river safely. I arrived here safely last night through His great kindness. What can I give back to God after all the good He has done for us? Thank God I found your 3 letters, and I really was pleased. In particular, I enjoyed hearing that you received my letter from Kremenchuk, and that it encouraged you. The fact of the matter is that it certainly ought to have encouraged you, because it was written with God's salvation and help, and with tears. Because it was written with God's salvation and help, and with tears. Now too my heart is filled with tears and with a boundless joy over everything that I and that every one of you suffer collectively and individually. For I know from a distance the soul's pain of every single one of you. What can I say? If I wanted to tell you what one hears and sees as one travels through different places, 1,000 pages would not suffice. Everyone desires to fear your name, and deep in their hearts they are all crying out very, very bitterly over how far they are from their ultimate purpose. But they are all like birds caught in a trap, and the rushing floodwaters of all these urges and negative character traits, particularly the preoccupation with money and livelihood, become stronger all the time. Beyond everything else, the most painful thing of all is that most of them have become terribly discouraged with themselves and have given up completely, as if it is no longer possible for them to think properly about the true purpose, and for a number of reasons it is impossible to raise them up. The main reason is the great controversy that surrounds us. It is because of this that they are unable to receive and to nurse from the sweet nectar the lovely pure words that give life to and inspire all the fallen souls, as is written in the lesson, souls sound the shofar faith. Quran 2:5. Sound the shofar faith. So now remember well the kindness and miracles that God has done with us. You do not know yet how very much a person has to strengthen himself, as our master teacher and rebbe of blessed memory cried out in a deep, strong voice, Gewalt! Do not give up on yourselves. Do not give up on yourselves. There is no such thing as despair. The main thing is to strengthen yourself, to be joyful in all the ways you have heard, and God will help you. Let us be happy and rejoice in His salvation. Do not copy this letter. Just show it to our trustworthy comrades in your house, and then store it away as a remembrance, in order that future generations may know what happened to the people who merited to receive exalted lights, original Torah teachings such as these, which inspire and give life to all the souls forever. Extend greetings to all our comrades. Thank God we had a joyful Purim in Shirin. Thank God I spoke a great deal about the holy faith until just about everybody wept profusely out, until just about everybody wept profusely out of the holy joy, profusely out of the holy joy and drink of Purim, we can really say Ashreinu, fortunate we are, the words of your father and teacher waiting for salvation, nachman of Breslov. Letter 305. With God's help, Wednesday, Achrei 5600. My dear beloved son, the first part of this letter is missing. May God allow you and me to receive the approaching holy festival of Pesach in joy, warmth, and in close adherence to all the requirements of the law. May we merit to perform the mitzvah of telling the story of the Exodus from Egypt, along with all the mitzvahs of that holy night, the night when God protects us, such that we will include and merit to reveal God's perfect unity amidst all the various phenomena that are so very distant from Him. Then great and true peace, both universal and on the individual level, will emerge. Let us be happy and rejoice in His salvation. The words of your father waiting for salvation, nachman of Breslov. Greetings to all of our comrades with a great love, in particular to my friend whom I love, heart and soul, and who is engraved constantly in my mind and heart, the distinguished nachman. He is light shining grandson of a master, teacher, and rebbe of sainted memory. Talk to him and tell him that he should be here this coming Holier, as his aunt, the tzedekis Adil Meshilib, wrote him. It will certainly give him delight and inspiration. It will certainly give him delight and inspiration in this world and the next. Nothing the same. Letter 306. God's up Tuesday the 7th day in remembering of the children of Israel. That hand blessed and peace and give that son may live and all his family like peace and all good. Amen.
יהודים הייתה אורה ושמחה וששון